Now that there's a notice of settlement on the record between Blake Lively and the Wayfarer parties, we have a little bit more detail on what was not included in that settlement. The Wayfarer parties are waiving their right to appeal their dismissed lawsuit. Blake Lively's lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice, but she didn't want to take her 47.1 fees motion off the table. We heard from Justin Baldoni's attorney, Bryan Freedman, earlier this week when he did several interviews with content creators and then a couple with bigger news outlets. But I saw a lot of people noticing they hadn't really heard from Lively's side yet since the settlement was first announced on Monday. Well, now that's definitely changed because Blake Lively and her team have come out with some statements this morning, statements that I can see a lot of people are very upset about. And I wasn't even going to acknowledge those statements here. I didn't really want to give attention to that, but then the Wayfarer parties have also come back with a response to that. So I want to give both sides and see the competing statements that have come out today. And I'll be honest, I got a lot of fatigue for getting outraged about things that her attorneys have said over the year and a half that we've been following this. I almost felt like their press statements were just rage bait for me, so I stopped even paying attention to what they would say to TMZ or others in the media. The way they spin and distort things, in my opinion, is stupid, out of touch, and offensive. But totally on brand for Blake Lively, who announced to the world that she was, going forward with this lawsuit and looking forward to trial to stand up for women and children who don't have the means to stand up for themselves, only to drop it once, news came out shortly before the settlement announcement that she may have perjured herself. But then to drop it and do something that was really not great for optics, which is to go hang out with her rich friends at the Met Gala, which had some controversy and protest because Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez were honorary co-chairs backing the event this year. This was again tone deaf, especially after her parade of arts and crafts on Instagram, where she cherry-picked part of the judge's ruling that threw out all of the sexual harassment claims and 10 of her 13 claims in total. That was just over a month ago. Only 3 claims remained going into this settlement. But she's once again trying to cosplay as some kind of activist or pioneer doing things for people of lesser means when really she just wants to live the celebrity lifestyle. And if it were just that on his face, I wouldn't think it was that big of a deal. But when you go out of your way to declare advocacy and declare yourself as the face of an issue that affects so many people, and then you abandon it or don't actually do anything to back it up, people start to get annoyed. And here's one thing that I found interesting in a TMZ article, and you guys know how much I just love TMZ, but a source close to Lively also tells TMZ, for Blake, this was never about money. It was about exposing bad actors who are also harming others. She didn't settle her claims until the documents exposing the bad actors behind smear campaigns were made public, documents that have led to other lawsuits and investigations. With this motion, she is breathing life into a groundbreaking statute designed to protect survivors from retaliatory lawsuits. I sat in that courtroom in January, listening to the arguments around these dispositive motions, and I listened to her attorney, Ezra Hudson, stand up in front of the judge who asked her why they were using a particular statute or strategy, and admit to the judge that they were doing it because they could collect more damages that way. So yes, let's be clear, this was always about the money and the intellectual property. Trying to attach herself to other lawsuits as a failsafe for when she may lose this last-ditch effort, it's transparent and ridiculous, and again, cosplaying as an advocate when you're not actually doing anything. It's not even her lawsuit. And I'll show you what her actual attorneys put out in a statement today, which was, again, like I said earlier, kind of rage bait, if you ask me, from the people who tried to exploit laws that clearly didn't apply to their client's situation just because it could possibly get her buckets and buckets of more millions. This settlement is a resounding victory for Blake Lively. By agreeing to this settlement and waiving their right to appeal, Justin Baldoni and every individual defendant now face personal liability for abusing the legal system to silence and intimidate Miss Lively. And by admitting that Miss Lively's concerns deserved to be heard, the defendants have ended once and for all the fiction that Miss Lively fabricated claims of sexual harassment and retaliation. Nobody ever found that her claims had merit because she was exploiting a law that didn't apply to her. It didn't even make it to a possibility of being heard in front of a jury. And by admitting that Miss Lively's concerns deserved to be heard, the defendants have ended once and for all the fiction. No. A corporate entity acknowledging that an employee's complaint has the right to be heard and investigated is not the same thing as admitting fault for anything. She agreed to drop her claims with prejudice. That doesn't exactly signify confidence in your ability to win this court case. Here's what Justin Baldoni's attorney, Bryan Freedman, had to say. Let's be clear, this is a win and total victory for the Wayfarer parties. The court had already dismissed 10 of Miss Lively's 13 claims, including every sexual harassment claim, every defamation claim, and all claims against the individual defendants. Miss Lively voluntarily dismissed the rest, In our view, they settled because they knew they were going to lose in court. All that remains is a pending request for fees based on a very narrow issue that has been with the court since September 2025. And that is extremely far from a guarantee that Blake Lively is going to get anything. This is her last-ditch effort to use this lawsuit to paint herself out as some sort of special victim so she can go on talk shows, receive praise and adoration for standing up for women, when all she really would have done, even if she does win this motion, is collect a check. Now, I used to get really, really angry when I would read press statements like that from her attorneys after seeing what actually played out in court, what actually played out behind the scenes. It made me mad. And these are issues that deeply affect a lot of women in our country and around the world, unfortunately. And seeing her, in my opinion, exploit those issues, I found that really upsetting. But, along the way, at some point, I realized these people are always going to talk their shit. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets for her, they're always going to talk their shit. And frankly, responding to that with anger, while I'm sure entertaining for some people, it wasn't really doing anything except hurting me. So I had to, at some point, start paying more attention to the good in people I support, and feeling some relief in the smaller victories for them than anger at the things that I think she's done wrong, including trying to use the court to get some of my very personal information, which is bizarre, in a way that scared a lot of people that she did similar to, 107 of us, putting us in a spotlight that scared a lot of people because, number one, it made crazy conspiracy theorists think we were in on some sort of paid smear campaign. And two, we don't have the comfy, cozy, rich, secure environment that a Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have. She was pointing the spotlight in the PR cannon at people who don't have the resources to defend themselves the way that she does. And there are a lot of people out there who actually believe what she's saying. One of them felt so inspired as to track down my personal phone number, which freaked me out a little because, as I said, I don't have the money to throw at private security the way these people do. And Blake Lively throws around false accusations like confetti. So yeah, I had a lot of feelings about stuff like that for a long time. But right now, I don't know. I'm not happy about it. I don't love it. But I'm relieved that it seems like these people who have had to deal with her for so long they're going to be out of it soon. And I know there must have been a lot going on behind the scenes that went into this settlement that we'll never know. But reading her lawyer's statements this morning, rather than just getting angry, I guess at this point I'm trying to, see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for these people. And I would be surprised if she won a 47.1 motion after agreeing to settle her lawsuit. But whatever happens, I'm sure that Justin and Jamie and everyone else are just ready to move on and get a chance to tell their side of the story once they've had time to heal. I know a lot of people are having a lot of feelings about this right now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I know we're going to have a lot of conflicting opinions, so please try to be respectful to each other. That's all I got for now, though. Don't forget to hit the like button for me because it helps me out a lot, and I'll see you all soon.